Alrighty, we generally don't do public videos, but this was such a cool patch that such a small amount of the community can really kind of get their hands on and mess around with. That we want to go ahead and push out a piece of content for everybody to kind of enjoy. So if you don't own a Lifio server, you probably won't reasonably be able to mess with this new stuff that was pushed out without a considerable amount of grinding. You don't really know what you're getting into. Until you've built it. So what we've done is we've gone ahead and spawned a majority of this stuff in GM mode. As you can tell, the ground is not flattened, so there is some clipping and stuff like that. It's because we were being lazy and just spawning stuff. But it will give you a real rough kind of looky-loo and look through of what you're getting into with all this new stuff. We're going to cover the new castle wall segments. We're going to lightly touch on hoarding. We're going to go over to keeps. We'll do a look through of the new keeps, the new towers, the new gatehouse, the mats involved in each, and then very, very loosely we're going to touch on horse-drawn carts. We're not going to beat horse-drawn carts to death because you can go into any Lifio server, the majority of the community, and build a cart and see how it works, and start sending in your reports or your thoughts or all that other good stuff. So architecture has had a huge overwork. If you remember the old walls, they were very half-developed, very bland. In all fairness, they weren't something you would reasonably build on a Lifio server, and Lifio was really the only main content out there. So it didn't look like it had very high priority for the development rework. Now that we are getting much closer to open beta, you're starting to see these things these community projects that you really need a community to complete start getting a lot more work done with them. So let's get started. Castle walls. This is a castle wall, no buttress, as the target description says. This little piece that sticks out, that is a buttress. All right. The battlement on top, that is a merlon. All right. So anytime you see a castle description in your little chart for your build, when it says no buttress, it means this little piece that sticks out, this little supporting piece. And when it says no merlon, it means no battlements on the top. So you see you get a version without a buttress, without a merlon, without both. These are the passages that you will see in your build options. Just a little tunnel. There's no stairs or no nothing in them. So there's going to be some interesting concepts that come from that. And it comes with or without battlements as well. We'll go ahead and go up on top. Again, you'll notice these are uneven. It's because they were built on uneven ground. It is not because one is higher than the other. So here are the angles that you are going to see from your battlements. This is right up against the wall. So as you can see, there is still quite a bit of dead space down there. Guilds will have to figure out how to solve that issue or keep enemies away from their walls, whatever their problem-solving process ends up concluding on that. As you can tell, this is the no battlements, just pretty much a square section. I think most people instinctively go to like some sort of supporting piece, or if you have a build that has kind of like that weird square that's carved out that you can't really put anything into, then you probably fit something like this in here. And then these are the tunnels, which are exactly the same. Hoarding. So it's called gallery, castle wall with gallery. As we know, it is hoarding, so castle wall with hoarding. No significant noticeable changes that we've so far detected as of the making of this video. The concept's still the same. You have these long slits for shooting distances, and then you have these short slits for murdering people that are down here. That is the angular. All right, so those are pretty straightforward all in all. As far as we could tell, there was no changes to stone walls, at least no aesthetic changes. What they did fix, however, is if gentlemen were aware of, there were some bugs that would allow you to essentially head glitch through these, through the battlements of stone walls and stuff like that. You are not able to do that anymore. So that is a win for good game design, because no longer are you able to head glitch through stuff that you shouldn't be able to head glitch through. So good fix. Next is the Castle Gatehouse with bridge. So this comes in two versions, the Castle Gatehouse and the Castle Gatehouse with bridge. The Castle Gatehouse is the exact same thing, except it does not have this this drawbridge. This drawbridge is activated with the open-close mechanism. And boom. I know it's pretty damn good looking. As far as the function, I'm pretty sure that makes everybody super happy. It is all attached to the same button, so open close will operate both your steel gate and your drawbridge. Hopefully later on they remove those or separate those. I could see a lot of guilds wanting to do one and not the other, or at least have a little bit more control over that. But for now, I mean, just having this piece is amazing all by itself, right? You know, you're not having to do those plank bridges, or at least you have an option aside from plank bridges and sleeping bag bridges and all the other crazy stuff that kind of fills the slot of a gatehouse with bridge. Another big point I want to point out is check out these firing sectors. So you're going to see a lot of this with this new build, is that they greatly improved the defendability that comes from these new castle pieces. There is, last I counted, on the uppers of in the 30s firing sectors on this position right here. So there's 30 different points that you can engage a force in the front of just this gatehouse, assuming you have the bodies to man it. That is an insane amount of firing sectors, period, in any position. That is absolutely terrifying. That's a terrifying amount of fire that you can put out, whether arrows or bolts, from one piece of defensive structure. They did these long slits, which make them much more friendly to use. It is an absolutely intimidating piece. So we're going to go ahead and close it so you can see the action of the close. So fun fact, the drawbridge does have a chance to kill you, and the gate will most definitely kill you. If you're on the drawbridge, it may also slide you down the drawbridge, and you'll land in that little flat spot right there between the gate and the bridge itself. So as you can see, very cool. Alrighty, so let's go get a look inside. So I feel like this the rope wiring here was it's a good enough for now sort of solution. I highly doubt this is the final product that they're looking to push, because it does like this weird Spider-Man thing here into the center. Yeah, I think it's just yeah, this is good enough to push it out. So let's push it out. We'll fix the loose ends later. So there are two organic ports to the actual gatehouse module, and these ports are access points from the ground level up into the gate module itself. And you'll start climbing, and you get on up inside, and then you're going to start seeing these slits. I'll go ahead and pull out so as you can see, once I reload this little crossbow here, as you can see, you get a lot of angle from these. So they actually curve them in the way that they would be curved in later designs, later castle designs, to accommodate getting that really good angle without, you know, in the quote-unquote real world of things, without affecting the durability of the walls or the integrity of the walls. So really, really good sectors of fire as far as these things go. You'll see plenty of them here. So this actually is a bunch of murder holes that look down into the actual module itself. So if you had an airlock system or some sort of such that kind of sealed people into this area, or if you were kind of holding ground here for whatever reason and engaging people over there, you'd be able to shoot down into these slots. We'll go up a little bit more. As you can see, more slots to shoot from. Your traditional hoarding that looks down over your gate itself or your bridge itself, and a little bit further ahead. Up in the higher parts of the gatehouse, as you can see, there is two kind of half towers up here, and these things are just monsters for your range, right? You got so much room to kind of pick and choose where you want to shoot, what you want to engage, and yeah, I mean, just there's so much possibility with how open these sectors are, how much versatility is up here. So you got those on both sides. We'll go ahead and go back down. Let's go ahead and get a look over the side a little bit better. All right, go back down. Let's see if there's anything else I missed down here about the gatehouse. Ah, there is. So, an interesting limitation. Doesn't sound like a limitation at first, but is what it is. Later on, it'll make a little bit more sense. So, the Castle Gatehouse currently, its design is organic only to other castle wall pieces or castle pieces. That's because of these ports right here. So these ports will only attach to the level of another castle piece. That is not the case with all of the new stuff. Some of the new stuff you are able to attach stone walls to, so that's pretty exciting. But the Gatehouse module will not be one of them. Look at the mats for the Gatehouse module. Big trend you're going to see in the majority of this stuff is shaped granite is in high need. Mortar always has been, and that's not really a hard grind for most communities. Nor are hardwood boards. By the time you're building this, you're planning huge forests. But what you will see is shaped rock and shaped granite. This is a constant theme that you're going to see through the majority of these items. I honestly do not believe that these are the final mats. If anything, I feel like these mats were generously kind of created where, yeah, you had to work for it, but you didn't have to work very hard for it, maybe just to get people to build it and play around with it and test it, because some of the mats don't make sense, and we'll see a bit more of it later. I'll point it out a little bit more later, but the risk versus reward, or the cost, the opportunity cost, is just way too much in your favor to build some of these things instead of their junior items, blatantly so. So I'm sure there's going to be a rework to mats, but for now these are kind of the two big numbers to kind of look at. That is your module. We'll go ahead and look at the sample for one of the walls, just so that you can see the mat requirement for that. Again, 400 granite, 60 shaped rock, all the rest of these are easy. And that is your rough mats for each wall. So I mean, don't plan anything off that. Actually go pull the proper mats, but it's a rough estimate. All right, towers. So this is the regular castle tower. It has an entry point in the bottom up to a stairwell, and it has two castle wall attachment points on either side. This is the front. As you can see, you have 3 different elevations of fire, which is horrifyingly more efficient than stone towers. So stone towers have 1 elevation of fire, meaning that you're able to shoot from one angle to another angle. In this case, you have 3 different levels that you can fire down on the same angle. That is horrifyingly more effective as far as that goes. As you get closer to it, the hoarding covers the blind spots that are right up against the wall on all sides of it. So very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. So we'll go ahead and go on up into the tower from the ground floor. Alrighty, you have the same slots, same design, same slots, same design. These would be your attachments to your walls, and then your hoarding on top. Pretty self-explanatory as far as that goes. And then this is the very top of your tower. All in all, I mean, just all of these look so damn amazing. It's really cool how much work and effort they put into this. It was a really well done job. All right, so the next one is the Castle Tower transitions. Now this one's a really interesting piece. As you see, there's a lot more ports to this structure. These ports, that's a ground level port. These ports are 4-sided, or 3-sided, excuse me. You have a ground floor, 1 ground floor access. You have 3 stone wall connectors, so you can actually put stone walls against these, and these will connect to this tower. And then you have a castle wall connector, so you can, attach just stone walls. You can attach stone walls castle, however you want to do it. It is slightly bigger, so these run 3x3. Regular stone towers run 2x2. So for a 1x1 increase in investment, you get 2 more levels of fire, 2 more elevations of fire. The transition castle tower is a 4x4, but you get this very interesting piece where you can do a lot with it. I think imagination is really your limitation here. I think it's pretty safe to say that this is the front. You have, again, 3 levels of fire. It's a little thicker as far as the firing ports because you get that extra sector of space, so more positions to peek from. But this is a really interesting piece that I think is a lot of people are going to come up with some really cool stuff with that tower within transitions. The castle angular tower, exactly the same as the stone angular tower, same concept. Attaches only to castle walls, and has the same function as the regular tower, just for your corners. The mats for each of these, here's the angular. Again, these are the big numbers to be looking at. Shape granite's 800 for the angular. Tower transitions, 600. 20 shaped rock. See, that's kind of strange. I mean, that's a bigger building. There's more stuff on it. So one of those clear examples. I got a weird feeling that they're encouraging people to. This is the exact same tower as the other one. The other one's just angular, and this one's 600 granite, and this one's 20 shaped rock. Let me go over here. Make sure I'm not. Yeah, and that's 800 granite, 30 shaped rock, just for it being an angle. So I have a feeling that those are definitely not permanent, and we're going to see some more trends of that here in the future. But those are the towers, your new castle towers. So now the keeps. So some very exciting stuff with keeps. First things first, the wooden keep. So as far as we can tell, there has been no changes to the wooden keep. So if you had a wooden keep in your build order, you're hoping that getting that construction up there, that you would pop out a wooden keep instead. So far, there is no currently no significant or notable advantage to building the wooden keep. They did not rework the firing slots. It might be a future to-do. We shall see. Furthermore, it does not have a monument slot. So I know the next thing you're thinking is, does that confirm that there is monument slots in the other keeps? Yes, there is. And we will get to that here in a second. But the wooden keep, as far as we can tell, has been untouched. The small keep. So the small keep is an 11 by 9 structure. And this is what it looks like. As you can tell, very, very, again, intimidating. You've got 5 levels there of elevation able to shoot at a single angle or a single point. That is a lot of massed fire that you can put on a single position. Very, very intense. They did a very, very good job eliminating blind spots from the keep. So if you remember some of the old keeps, they had a lot of blind spots that just didn't make them terribly effective to actually fight from. Well, they did away with that, right? They added battlements everywhere, slots everywhere, attack angles all over the place. What I find interesting about this is they made this so aggressive from the 2 sides that you kind of expect to fight from, and then the back side they didn't. So that is an interesting little quandary as far as that stuff goes. We're not really going to go through here too much because that's mostly aesthetics. I mean, this is a kill room, some other stuff, so we're not going to get wrapped up in that. We're going to stay on the outside for the most part. Here's the roof, same battlements, same type of battlements as the normal walls. You've already seen the view of that. Monument slot. So as I confirmed, there was a monument slot. So if you look underneath these, you're going to see this giant section of space open. That's not because of the GM build. That was because of the model itself. If you look at other models, you'll notice that they have completely filled bottoms. Well, the new keeps do not. What's interesting about these is currently when you place a keep, and if you have masonry enough up in a skill level, you will see a little free box. In fact, I can probably just plant one here in a second. You will see a little free box in the center. So you'll see all your green tiles, and then you'll see an empty box where you can plant a monument, or an object can be there, and you can build this on top of. That is your monument slot. And I'm not sure what all this other extra space is on in here. I'm not sure if they're expecting you to do aesthetic stuff or whatever, but it still has to be flattened, and it still gets locked when you build. So, and that's not, again, not just because of the GM so forth. Only 1 hex is unlocked. So I'm curious if they're planning on doing something more with that in the future, where you can actually build like a building in there. If they're expecting you to, get your feng shui on and like, start making the area look kind of cool, like a little altar-y or something. Not entirely sure why they cut out so much space in there, but there is. So I mean, theory craft away. Before I forget, we'll go ahead and I'll show you what I'm talking about with that monument slot. All right. There you go. So all of these yellow tiles would normally be green if you were building it in regular mode, not in GM. As you can see here, there is a tile that does not have a requirement to it, and this would be your monument tile. So everything else would still have to be flattened and leveled and all that good stuff, but this tile wouldn't count, so your monument would be centered in here. Alrighty, next keep. This is the regular keep. Both these are masonry keeps. So you get another level, another 2 levels worth of space. One functional level, and then you get kind of one fluff level here at the bottom, as far as the space itself goes. So one fighting level and then one miscellaneous underneath. It gets a stair system that goes up to it, and this is what you have. As you can tell, it's a significant elevation difference. Granted, the elevations are different here, but you do get another 2 levels worth of height, which becomes significant. Same fantastic defendability. I think the closest you get to blind spots are on the corners, but you can still be engaged by the hoardings. You get the same penalties in the back of the keeps, where if the attackers get back here, it is a lot easier to get into blind spots. But for 3 sides of it, it is a monster. It is truly brutal for the defenders to use. Go ahead and look up at the roof real quick. It's nothing too crazy. I find it super interesting they added these. So these are for ranged units to be able to engage people trying to come upstairs while somebody blocks off the top of the stairs, which is a very interesting idea. I'm very curious where they're going with that. I'm not going to theorize, but that's a lot of work to put into a system that I'm kind of curious what their ambition for using it down the road is. Because, I mean, realistically, most people are currently going to close their doors, and if they can't just close them, they're going to close them and then barricade them on the opposite side so you can't lift the object, because the top object barricades the bottom object, and then nobody can get in through that door, even if they could open the door, right? So I'm super curious what their intentions with these are. Anywho, moving along, this is the Castle Keep. Castle Keep is your architecture keep. It is the Big Mama. As you can see, you have the frame of the normal stone keep, and then you get an additional tower, and then you get these 2 big additions on the sides. So this thing is truly a monster, at least in at looking at it. It's very, very large. Go ahead and spin around a little bit. What I'm less impressed with this one is it has a lot of blind spots. Again, it starts to get a lot closer to what we're used to with castles, being I built it because I can, or I'm going to have to go through a problem-solving process that keeps people out of the amount of blind spots this thing offers, which is on the higher end. And to show you what I mean is, this is a blind spot. You can be right up against the wall, and this is coming right across this corner. Now you're in a blind spot. It's the same on the other side, right here. So you get right beside this wall, go closer to it, blind spot. Defenders, unless they add additional stuff to the side of the walls to be able to lean out over it or stand out over it, they're standing in a blind spot. This one's going to be very hard to hit people. So there's quite a few of these angles around this thing, and it's only because what negated it over here was these hoardings. So these hoardings penalized you from trying to take blind spots in this area, and the hoardings weren't terribly valued on the larger model for whatever reason. Go ahead and go on up here. Go ahead and give you a look down from the top. Same battlements as stone walls, all that good stuff. Plenty of rooms, plenty of levels, plenty of tiers, all this good stuff being able to fight from. kind of your imagination to the application of these is kind of your greatest limitation, I kind of feel, as far as that goes. If it doesn't fit your niche of fighting, then a lot of this may be useful or useless. I think the more imaginative that you can be, kind of the more useful that it becomes. But that is the castle keep. So 40, if you've been following the instant sieges, you'll know that defenders need both rally tickets, rally point tickets, or excuse me, rally point slots and binding slots to have tickets. And tickets are essentially what allows you to respawn when you are killed during an instant siege. So if you had 40 tickets, 40 of your players could die and 40 could respawn. If you ran out of tickets when that player dies, he no longer respawns. To get a ticket, you must have both a binding slot and a rally slot, and that gets you 1 ticket. So the small keep here is worth 40 tickets. This regular keep is worth 60 tickets, and the architecture keep is worth 120 tickets. So as you can see, the keeps give you a ton of tickets, or give you a ton of rally points that, if matched with housing, would give you a ton of tickets. I know I probably misstated that. So 60 rally, or 40 rally slots, 60 rally slots, 120 rally slots. I know there was a rumor going around that keeps would have storage space organic to them. That is not true. As far as we can tell, there is no storage that is directly involved in the keep. You would have to do object storage on the inside of it. I'll go ahead and show you the underneath, show you that all have monument slots, monument slot, and monument slot. To the mats. So here we have, this one's the castle keep. The only one currently with marble plate, 8,000 shaped granite, so no shaped stone. I don't want to say about what you'd expect for a castle keep, but the first numbers, the first kind of shock of numbers, you're kind of like, okay, yeah, okay, figures. I'm not sure if that's intense. I'm not sure if that's not intense. What really throws a lot of mats on top of their head and historical experience on their head is the horse-drawn carts. Anytime they add something that makes industry easier, especially something like the grind of hauling resources, everything in the game, by consequence, that is choke pointed by the hauling of resources becomes significantly easier. So shaped granite, marble plate, stuff like that, shaped rock becomes significantly easier because they've added, you no longer have to jump on a horse and ride all the way back and drop off your few pieces that you've scavenged and then run back out and rinse and repeat, a few thousand times. Here is the keep. 754,000. So this is the normal keep, 754,000. I'm going to keep that in mind because this will again show you 675, 3,600. So for what is that? 75 more shaped rock, 400 more shaped granite, plus these negligible mats here. You would be able to build, a regular keep instead of a small keep. You get 20 more rally slots instead of 20 less. You get another 2 levels of elevation and 1 more battlement angle compared to not. And funny enough, these are both the same dimension, so both of these are 9x11s. Makes me honestly believe that hey, we want you guys to build this stuff right now. We want you to see what it is, to mess around with it, to give us your feedback as far as this stuff goes. But I do not think those are the permanent mats as far as any of this stuff goes, and I would expect a major rebalance on those in the future. So play with them while you can. So like I said, do a really small thing on horse-drawn carts, again, because anybody terribly curious would be able to go into any Lithio server. So you get two different carts. You get horse cart no tent and horse cart with tent. They're the exact same mats. As far as we can tell, there are no significant changes between the two, aside from the aesthetics, maybe the camera angle function play of it. As far as the functionability of it, there is no major change. So you go ahead and open it, and you'll notice it has 3,000 inventory space. Very, very cool. Come over to this one. It's also going to be 3,000 inventory space. Boom. Now there's already something in this cart. I already put a barrel in there. So I'll be able to get that barrel out. Boom, now I have a barrel. Put the barrel back in. Put in the cart. Boom. As you notice, the barrel takes up a separate degree of slots up in here. They're calling them spaces. And these spaces are separate from this inventory that you're looking at. So if you put a barrel full of, I don't know, Yorkshire puddings in a cart, it will not take up the cart's organic inventory space. It takes up the inventory space of the barrel, and it'll take up the spaces that the barrel takes up, each container size taking up a different amount of spaces. And that is it. So you can get some really serious numbers, storage numbers in these carts as of now, if that is intended. Currently, you can only attach breeder horses to it, or regular horses. You cannot attach war horses or swifts or heavies or hardies, royals. To our understanding, you can do it in GM mode for whatever reason, but they don't function any different. But indeed, from a lot of feedback I've gotten from our players is that they work fantastic on level ground, and they have a ton of trouble going up any sort of incline or rough terrain. Uneven upward terrain or inclined terrain just really, really sketches out the whole process. So I myself haven't used them enough to you know, to really go into that. And again, it's something, if you gentlemen want to test, you gentlemen or ladies want to test, hop into a Lithio server, build one, try one out, and send your feedback to the developers about the issues you're running into and stuff like that. So that is it. I think we covered, yeah, we covered everything. So hopefully enjoyed this little view through. If you haven't been able to see, or you haven't had the opportunity or the access to be able to check out these new pieces of content, hopefully you got to scratch a little bit of that itch with the video.